Okay, so first question, what brings you to Moscow?
Oh well, what brings me to Moscow? It's a working visit. I'm the head of the parliamentarian group of the Alternative for Germany in the German Parliament.
Yeah.
So foreign policy is my job, and I am every year at least one time in Moscow. So, and this year we did this visit together with Dr. Alice Weidel, who is the head of our group in the Bundestag. Mm-hmm. And we visit a couple of our friends here in Russia.
Now, it's pretty much almost a media staple that they always say that relations between Russia and Europe are bad. And I think maybe the evidence for that would be that there's sanctions between Russia and Europe. Things have been a little bit off. But what's the core reason? What's the real problem? Why are relations bad?
Well, this is a big sorrow of us, and it was also a big topic in all our talks. We met Mr. Slutsky in the Duma. Mm-hmm. We met Mr. Tyapkin in the Foreign Ministry, and a lot of other people. Of course, this is like overwhelming topic, Mm-hmm. Why is it so? Obviously, there are powers which are interested in that the relationships between Germany and Russia, especially, mm-hmm.
but
also between Europe and Russia, are getting worse. Mm-hmm. We see it since 2014. Mm-hmm. With the Ukrainian crisis,
yeah.
And then of course it followed with Crimea and so on and mm-hmm. so on. Now with we say Skripalny, Navalny and so on. Yeah.
Well, see, it's interesting because you kind of say that with a smile. You almost have it. You almost acknowledge that this whole situation with Navalny and Skripal is kind of silly.
Does it seem that way? Silly. Of course, it's silly because I can see it from the other side. We are in the parliament and we see always how fast and uncritical certain things are communicated through the whole media landscape in Germany. And mm-hmm. it was the same with Skripal, it was the same with Navalny. There is no thinking about, and at the beginning there is nothing like, oh, let's investigate, let's mm-hmm. wait, where is the truth? But the truth is from the beginning defined, and it is just communicated true, and therefore I'm smiling about it, and this is in strong difference to other cases in other countries. It's always specifically against Russia.
Yeah,
but see what happened with Mr. Khashoggi in the embassy, Yeah.
So your colleagues in Germany, then we'll call them colleagues, depending whether you see them as colleagues or enemies. That's up to you. But the people who are with you, sort of in the German government, right, who don't like Russia, is it a matter that they have this sort of deep-seated fear or dislike of Russia that every bit of news from Russia they believe it, or are they just sort of typical bureaucrats where they get a piece of paper that says that Putin poisoned Navalny, this is bad, I have to believe this because I got the piece of paper that says it's bad. So are they just mindless bureaucrats, or is it something personal?
It's a mixture. For really a long period of time, the Soviet Union was really the enemy. It was the empire of the evil.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the 90s, it turned around completely, and you can follow it even in the Hollywood movies. It was a period of time when Russian policemen side by side with the US policemen, they were working together in New York and so on.
Red Heat.
okay. I'm not promoting any movies, but it is. And it was the whole period. Before it was Rambo against the Russian, and then it was Red Heat. So it changed, and the Russians were no enemies anymore, and they were friends. And now it's slowly coming back to Rambo,
and it's docking on the synapses in the people's brains. Now the people are triggering the same pictures of the evil Russia. So this is the psychological background. And what you ask, of course there are people, there are even politicians who are doing it per purpose. They don't they are not interested on good relations to Russia. And what surprised me a lot, there are German politicians who are saying we are against Nord Stream, for example, and this is totally US position. I don't blame the USA. If the USA say our geopolitical, our strategical targets are that we don't want the cooperation between Russia and Germany, that's fine. This is, they say it frankly, they do it.
Well, it's honest.
This is their position. But what I don't understand, when German politicians say this, because it's not good for Germany. Yeah?
Not so much.
Yeah, so there we are.
Interesting how that works out. Well, one thing about defying Washington, then, is we can sit here and talk about that, and we can maybe get into these ideas that there's sort of conspiracy theories, that it's really Washington pulling all the strings. But then how does your party get seats? Because you guys try to fight these mystery forces.
Yeah, well, this is a good question I'm asking every day myself. And it was a very special situation in 2013 when I would say the system allowed an unknown Professor Lucke to enter during a period of 5 or 6 weeks every big TV show in German television, political TV show, and get an audience of 5, 6, 7 million and spread his news. And in this period of time, in those 5, 6 weeks, 17,000 people entered a party which didn't exist. It was just an idea. This Professor Lucke, he said, I have a party. There was nothing, And 17,500 people entered and said, yeah, I identify myself with content, with ideas this guy is saying on television, on public television.
Yeah.
So, and there we were in this party, and they let us to run for elections. We did quite well. We become the most successful party in the post-war history. We entered every parliament we have in Germany, in each state, in the Bundestag, in the European Parliament. And around 2016, there were public polls which said, well, 35% of the population, of the German population, could imagine to vote for this party. And with 35, 36% in Germany, you can get chancellor. Angela Merkel doesn't have more. So, and from this point, exactly. Okay. So
Gotcha.
You said everything.
From that point, the game changed.
From that point, we become Nazis, extremely right wing, and so on and so on. And this is incredible. If you imagine that we are a party where a lot of foreigners, like me, I'm from Czechoslovakia. I've got political asylum in Germany, and we have many colleagues who are coming from Russia, from Romania, who just got German passport. They are not Germans by birth. Yeah, we have also a lot of voters from foreigners who are voting for us. And just imagine how what kind of nonsense it is to say this is a Nazi party, where foreigners are giving votes to foreigners because they are Nazi. Yeah, that's incredible.
Well, some crazy things do happen in politics. I mean, look at Kiev, but that's another story. That's another story. So
this is a funny story because in Kiev, the real Nazis in Kiev, nobody cares in Germany, and nobody cares in the EU, that there are real Nazis supporting the regime change. Nobody was talking about that.
But
maybe there are good and bad Nazis.
The ones that go against Russia, I think, are the good ones. I think that's overall what unites them. But let's get into this. I'm kind of curious. So when we talk about this whole Nord Stream and energy deals between Europe and Moscow, it's always through Germany. People always talk about Berlin and Moscow having this deal. But, it snows in Hungary. It snows in the Czech Republic. Why is it such a big thing between sending gas between Moscow to Berlin?
I really don't know, because we have already, since the 70s, there is a pipeline, and it was a deal between the Western Germany and the former Soviet Union, and it worked perfectly, in spite of we had the Iron Curtain, and even the Soviet Union was always a reliable partner delivering. This is also a funny thing. We have quite every winter. The media brings the news, now there is a winter, it's dangerous because the Russians maybe will not deliver the gas.
Oh, I see.
And I think, okay, why should they do it? Because they want to sell something, and we have the money, so they want our money. Why should they stop delivering the gas to us? It's complete nonsense. But
I guess maybe the idea would be to sort of scare you into controlling you to make you agree to something. Because if you threaten someone, so do this or else, right? That's the threat. So what would be the do this?
It's just threatening the people and creating an image of Russians that they are not a reliable partner. That they would like to stop the delivery of gas, but this is what you asked before, when if normal people, why do they react as they react? Because you have permanent propaganda like this or permanent news like this, so it works. They repeating and there is a saying: if you repeat a lie 1,000 times, it becomes true.
Now, in Russia, there's this belief that in the 1800s, so long, long ago, the Tsars were very confident that things were going to go well with Germany because Germany was becoming a rising power. This is the whole, Bismarck era, and that it looked like the continental Europe would be mostly controlled by Germany, but there was a lot of sort of intermarriages and interrelations between the Russian aristocracy and the German aristocracy. So everyone in Russia thought, this is going to be great. There's not going to be any more wars. We're going to be able to agree, make agreements with these guys. They're going to control everything. It'll be real easy. We'll sort of split the world with the Germans. Well, that didn't happen. With World War I, Germany and Russia fought, and it was really, really bad, I think, for both sides. World War II was really, really bad for both sides, especially the German side. The Cold War probably didn't help. So one thing is in Germany, why has no one sort of woken up to the possibility that maybe conflict with Russia has really shot Germany in the foot at least twice, maybe more?
Yeah, well, I would go even more years back, maybe 2,000 years back to the Roman Empire. When you remember what happened when the Roman Empire split to the western and the eastern part. From the western part developed to the Holy Roman Empire of the German nation, and the eastern, the Byzance,
Byzantium, yeah.
Yeah, Byzantium. Russia is the heritage on which Russia is standing. There are not many people that know that the word Tsar comes from Caesar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I want to say is that Russia and Germany, it's like yin and yang. Those are two parts, which belong together. They've just been separated, but they have common roots. And in my view, Russia is the eastern part of Europe, historically seen. Yeah. So, what we want as a party, and what many people want, is that those two parts come together again. That they work together again. and that they even profit both from this alliance.
Now, you've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of Russian politicians. You've probably had the opportunity to talk to a lot of American politicians. Do foreign people really understand Germany? Or do some understand it more or less? Or is Germany still a bit of a mystery to outsiders?
Germany is a total mystery at first. Many people outside of Germany have a picture of Germany as it was in the 90s, maybe. Mm-hmm. And they don't realize that the country changed totally, getting worse. Mm-hmm. We have really heavy problem with democracy inside the country. Just an example, we are the biggest opposition party in the German parliament, but our politicians get beaten on the street quite to death.
By whom?
By left extremists, by Antifa. Uh-huh. And the point is, these Antifa groups, they are not just coming out from nowhere. They are there for years and years, and many of them have established legal formations, which are donated by the state. So they're getting public money, and the same people who are then beating the opposition.
Now, are you talking about like at a protest where there's two sides and the sides fight? Or are you talking about like someone hunting down a politician, finding out where they live, watching their daily routine, and then picking a day and getting them?
Exactly.
You're talking about that?
Of course. It happened to me.
Oh.
It happened to me.
Well, your teeth look lovely, so he couldn't have gotten you too bad.
Thanks to God, it wasn't an attack on my person, but it was an attack on my car. And on my house. They sprayed my house. They crashed my car. But it was exactly as you described. There were two Antifa people in the street in the morning, in the day. They just checked out where I'm living. I was going the way with my 6-year-old son to his school. Yeah. And they saw where we live. At night they did the attack, and in the next morning, the whole way from my home to the school of my son was labeled with Antifa stickers. Like, we know where you want, we know where your son is going to school, But I had also really I had been physically attacked on the street by Antifa too. So this is nothing unusual. It goes to thousands and thousands. Mm-hmm. And this is not everything, People are losing their jobs in Germany just because they are engaging in themselves in the opposition party. People are even losing their jobs just because they meet our boss. There is a case that was public. Professor Mending was just having a lunch in a restaurant with Professor Meuthen, who is the boss of our party. Somebody saw them. And the Professor Mending lost his job in the television and public television. They said, "No, you're meeting this guy," and he lost his job. And this is nothing unusual. People losing their jobs nowadays just because they are in the opposition.
Well, proving the motivations of why someone's fired can be hard, but with physical attacks, what do the police do? Or for some reason, the cases just disappear. Why don't the police react to these things? These attacks?
Yeah, well, this is a good question because the police is always investigating. It is a special part of the police. It's the Staatsschutz, so they really know their opponents. Yeah, and I have interesting experience because when it happened to me, this police task force come and they asked me, "Have you seen something?" Something you can tell us? And I said, yes, I saw 2 suspects in the street in the morning. They are not living here in the area. I am going every morning there, so I know the people there. And they are obviously from the Antifa. They look like this. And I described them. I said, there was a girl, she had the blue hairs. I don't know her. But the guy, and then I described the guy because I know him already from the demonstrations, you know. And the police, and so I described him, and the policeman said, "Oh, I know who it is." So they know their, you know, suspects. Of course, when I know them just from speaking in public and seeing them as a anti-demonstrants, you know, this is always the same bench. So the police, of course, they know them, but they investigate, but I didn't got any results. And so
Gotcha.
yeah.
Oh, that's really depressing. that's really, really rough. Anyways,
And it continues.
Yeah.
This is this is hot topic. We have secret service, domestic secret service, which is used to suppress the opposition. We have been now publicly, it was publicly announced that the secret service will take this political party under observation because we are supposed to be extremists. Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
The only thing is that we say we would like that the government is following the rules and the laws. And we are saying the government is breaking the laws. And they say, wow, they are extremists.
Gotcha. Well, one thing then is, what do you think that maybe Germany could stand to learn? I know you have to leave soon, but
That's the last
question. What's one thing that maybe Germany could actually stand to learn from Russian culture or history or the way Russians do things?
Oh, there are many things that the Germans could learn from the Russians, and there are many things the Russians could learn from the Germans. I mean, I would say just talk to each other, just meet each other, just relax. Don't paint any pictures of enemies on the walls, you know, and we will be fine all together.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being with us. That was great. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. I know you have to go.
Thank you
too. But stay strong. Stay strong. I know it's tough. I know it's tough.